Usually when you see these Keishas, get pulled over, you see uh, everything from a cop perspective, from the body cams, right? How they act, how they react to a situation, how they make things worse, right? Then they get arrested, processed, fingerprint, mugshot, and then now it's time to see a judge. Now you're about to see what happens from the judge perspective, from their point of view when they're looking at a case like this, and you get to see exactly what happens. Does the attitude change? Are they more cooperative? Are they still stubborn, arrogant? Let's see.
Old PSI?
This is the old PSI that's in there. There isn't an updated one. She said the only update is this cover page.
Reflected on the cover page.
Right. So I don't know what that means. The only change reflected is the cover page.
They didn't do it updated. Because I spoke with Miss Johnny and she said this is the same as the last PSI.
The old one is in here.
Here's both of them.
I guess I don't understand why we got two. I'm very confused.
Well, this was
Remind
one
me.
where she had pled and you refused to go along with it because she didn't accept responsibility for the crime.
Uh-huh.
And then we came back and she did accept responsibility, so we repled for the same.
Okay.
There was a different attorney involved on the first time and then I was appointed.
Oh, and to explain to y'all, this was a seatbelt ticket that got turned into a felony. I need y'all to know this would have been just a seatbelt ticket. She didn't have a seatbelt on, and it turned into a felony. Now let's go.
Yeah, she pled in May of last year. Was full deferred with Tom Burbank.
So nothing else was done as far as them talking to Miss Johnny about
No.
acceptance of responsibility.
The
They
only
didn't.
thing Miss Johnny said, they called and asked her for her updated address. And that was it.
Okay. So, Miss Johnny, I'm going to ask you again, and I know we probably went through this before. First of all, you're Kirsten Johnny.
Yes.
And Miss Johnny, I want to make sure, because in that previously you said you didn't do it, you were forced to do it because of your you were forced to plea because of your financial situation, and that it wasn't fair. And so tell me what your position is now.
I never really said I didn't do it. I said it was an accident.
Okay?
I still feel the same way a little bit.
All right.
I'm not gonna say I do feel the same way.
Now I understand, but you're not disagreeing that you didn't.
I said it was an accident. Somebody grabbing you by your foot. That's like somebody accidentally hit you in the back of your head. You're gonna have something that's normal.
What, right, because you were not complying with what they told you to do to get out of the car, correct?
I was pulled over because I was in a high. I stayed in the area. I was pulled over because.
Hang on. Don't talk yourself out of this again. Because if you want to talk yourself out of it, we'll put it on the trial docket and we'll get it done in a few weeks.
Exactly. See, this is what they try to do. And when you watch this, they try to explain themselves, right? They'll take a plea deal, right? And then when they're asked to accept responsibility, it's so hard for them to accept responsibility, not realizing that that's part of the plea deal. You have to say, yes, I did this. This was my fault. I am totally responsible for this. You can't say, no, it wasn't my fault. Some of it was my fault. You place partial blame on the victim or the police. You can't, it has to be total accountability for them to accept the plea deal. And that a lot of times they crash out because they don't want to accept responsibility to the point where they talk themselves out of a plea deal and end up going to trial. And the thing about going to trial, they don't have any money for a trial lawyer, so they get a public defender. A public defender is not trying to fight for you. Absolutely not. So before you know it, you blow trial, right? You lose the trial, and they punish you for wasting taxpayers' money. That's what usually
Let a
happens.
jury decide. Look at me. I'm actually trying to help you right now.
You
Okay.
big dummy.
If you had complied and just done what he asked you to from the very beginning of that stop, none of this would have happened. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yeah.
No, do you agree? Listen to the question. Do you agree with that statement or do you disagree with that statement?
I don't want to lie.
You don't like it, do you? You don't think he should have done that?
It's not that. I feel like we was pulled over for no reason. If you follow,
It doesn't matter if you were pulled over for no, listen to me. This is why we're hearing stuff all over in the news. It doesn't matter what you think. If a cop pulls you over, then you take the ticket for not wearing your seatbelt. This is all over not wearing your seatbelt. And here you are in felony court and you're still not taking responsibility for the fact that he said, hey, ma'am, do this. And you said, I don't think you should have pulled me over, so I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I'm going to lodge my foot against the door, and I'm not going to get out. I'm going to make you drag me out of my car, and then I'm going to kick you because you shouldn't have pulled me over in the first place. When all you had to do was get your ticket, go to JP court, and try to fight it there legally.
What do I tell you all the time? Even you young brothers that's listening, if you ever get pulled over, right, even if you think you're getting pulled over, right, for something that you shouldn't get pulled, even if you think you're being targeted, right, even if you think that, they're giving you a ticket for, a reason that you don't believe is right and exact or just, right, even if you think what they're doing is wrong, right, what you do is accept it. Accept whatever's happening to you at the moment, whether it's getting arrested or getting a ticket, getting pulled over. And if you think that it wasn't right, what you do is you handle it and fight it later. You don't hold court in the street right then and there because you're going to lose and you're going to end up with a charge. Or if you do end up with a charge, you're just going to make it worse. So the only thing you should be doing is accepting what's happening to you right then and there. Let them give you a ticket, right? And then you fight it later, all right? You don't go off the rails.
But here you are in felony court for a second-degree felony instead. So do you want to try to tell that story to a jury, or do you want to accept some responsibility today?
I don't feel like going to trial.
You don't feel like going to trial. Well, there's two parts to that question. Do you feel like accepting responsibility?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think it would be a better idea next time you're pulled over to comply and just do what they ask you to?
Yes.
And Your Honor, just for the record, Miss Johnny did review the video with me in my office, so she is aware of what all transpired. She saw it.
Do you have any reason to believe she shouldn't be pleading to this from what you saw?
I do not.
So, you even saw how you acted. It's probably a good idea. All right. I'm going to find that you previously entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. I'm going to follow the agreement that you made with the district attorney. I hope you prove me wrong on this because I really have some concerns that you're going to be able to be successful because you're not taking responsibility and you're not wanting to follow directions and things like that. And you're about to have 4 years of having to follow directions on probation.
Oh, she's done. She's going to be back in less than 6 months, if that. Oh, she's done. But that's the rub. They know that. They know that. They know that's the setup right there. They know that she's not going to be able to follow directions. She's not going to be able to follow instructions. She's not going to pay attention. She's not going to, show up to these probation hearings, because on probation, she can't be smoking. She got to be drug free, alcohol free. She got to attend anger management classes. They're going to have her do a lot there, and she's not going to do it. She's going to wake up one day and decide she don't want to go because she don't feel like it, and she'll be back in there. You have people who would rather. Let me tell you how probation is a setup. You got people, if they were given a choice, if they was told, hey, you do 4 years of probation or 6 months in jail. You got people who say, I'd rather do 6 months in jail. I've seen people say that. They'd rather do 6 months in jail. Come home and they don't have anything hanging over them. That probation, you see them violating probation. You see people violating probation all the time. Because if you have a problem with authority, right, over a seatbelt, there's no way she's going to be able to complete 4 years of probation. Yeah, she'll be back in the next 6 months.
So I'm going to defer all proceedings for 4 years. You're ordered to pay a $500 fine. You're ordered to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation.
Oh, she's done.
If you do that, this is a great opportunity today because you are not a convicted felon. You don't have that conviction on your record. And if you successfully complete it, follow all of the rules, you will never have a felony conviction. At the end of your probation, the case will actually be dismissed. The other side to that, though, and this is really important for you to understand, because we've had this conversation now so many times, I'm not likely to forget you. And you can ask anybody, and Ms. Holmes has known me for a long time. It's not usually good when I remember people, right? So if you violate your probation, you'll get brought back into court. You could be found guilty, which means you become a convicted felon, and I can sentence you to prison anywhere in the range of punishment, which is up to 20 years in prison for this. Do you understand? All right, I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement that I followed, so you've waived your right to appeal. You need to have a seat here in the courtroom. Probation will go over your paperwork as soon as they're ready.
Okay, you said that I'm not considered a conviction felon, but I was told that even though you say that, it's still going to be on my record.
So the arrest is on your record. The arrest will always be on your record. But so if you're asked a question on filling out an application for a job or something, if it says, have you been convicted of a felony? The answer is no. But if it says, have you ever been charged with a felony, or are you on probation for a felony? You are going to have to say yes to that.
The video's over, but she's done. I'm telling you, she's not going to be able to finish it. She's not going to be able to finish it. And the judge noticed. You wilded out over the police stopping you for not wearing a seatbelt. First of all, what are you, one of those people who say that it's safer not to wear a seatbelt? You had people tell me. I remember talking about this, seatbelt a while ago. You had people saying, nah, AC. It's better. It's better without the seatbelt because you have a seatbelt on and you get into a crash and the seatbelt will pull against your chest. The seatbelt can restrict your breathing and stuff like that, right? I'm like, really? That's where we at right now? All right, then don't wear the seatbelt. Get in the crash and fly right out the windshield. I don't know where people get this from, but you need to wear your seatbelt. You need to wear your seatbelt. So you're not wearing a seatbelt. The police pull you over and they tell you, hey, listen, you didn't have your seatbelt. Here's this ticket. And you just start wilding out over that? A seatbelt ticket? and turned it into a felony, oh yeah, she'll be in there in no time. No time, I'm telling you, in no time.
You big dummy.